Hey gang, today we're going to be learning right here about nucleic acids. You should kind of have an idea about where this is going from the video you guys just watched in class for the past few minutes. It's all about this right here, this code that we have within us that makes us us, right? So, going on to the slide, right? Nucleic acids, you guys know that they are for sure macromolecules. This is something we've talked about. This is our fourth out of four macromolecules. It's our last one. Okay? And the really important thing about nucleic acids is that they're able to store information. Now, what kind of information do they store? In a way, they're kind of like your computer's hard drive, okay, where they contain all of this information that can be brought up at any time. But of course, they're not digital, right? It's not a computer. It's actually information inside of you. And one main type of nucleic acid, the one that we're really going to focus on and is the most important one in our body, is DNA. And I'm sure you guys have heard of DNA many times before, right? And it's important to understand that nucleic acids, they're able to store what's called hereditary information, okay? Hereditary means anything that you can basically receive from your parents and pass down to your children, okay? And an example of hereditary traits are hair and eye color. Okay? These are things that we receive from our parents and why we look like our parents in many ways. It's because we receive DNA from parents. Okay? And remember, I'm writing this down, so you guys should be writing this down too. I know there's not a blank, but just put an arrow as I did and write it in. So, as I just alluded to, right, this is talking about DNA here, and that's what's passed from parents to offspring. Okay? It's what gives us our traits. Right? Height. Right? Hair color. Basically anything about us. That's what our traits are. Any observable thing you can see and lots more than that. But we're going to get to much of that once we get to DNA this winter. Okay? One of the most important things that's rarely talked about though, at least at this level, is how DNA expresses the proteins that our body needs to work. And what I really want you guys to focus on, is what we briefly touched upon last lesson and what we're going to be going into next, is that these really important proteins are what we call enzymes. Okay, without these enzymes that the DNA expresses, our body would not function in the way that we need it to. Okay, so nucleic acids, they contain five elements. Five elements, okay? There's carbon, all right? There's hydrogen, there's oxygen, there's nitrogen, and now there's also phosphorus. Okay? These should all look familiar to you, right? Carbon and hydrogen here, we found those to be in our carbohydrates, right? Oxygen came when we added lipids to our macromolecule list. We added nitrogen when we started talking about proteins, and now finally we're adding phosphorus. So these nucleic acids contain all of the elements that we've talked about previously, in addition to what we're going to be calling a phosphate group. Okay? And so nucleic acids have three parts. Okay? They have a nitrogen group, which is called, weirdly enough, a base. Okay? They contain a phosphate group, which we're going to get more into this winter, as I said. Just know, again, that phosphate group contains a phosphorus. Some other things too, but know it contains a phosphorus. It's right there in the name. And then lastly, and this is very interesting, it contains a sugar. So believe it or not, these nucleic acids, each and every single one of them actually have a carbohydrate in them. And I think that really highlights how everything in our body is really connected, right? These nucleic acids have carbohydrates right inside of them. And so if you guys look right to your right on the same slide, what you're going to see is that this is a nucleic acid, right? That's exactly what we're looking at. What we have up here on the top left, this is the, I'm going to change the color there because it's too similar. Right, this is our nitrogen. It's our nitrogen group, okay? That was really bad. Let me retry that. There we go. Okay, this is our base, if you will. There we go. Okay. What we have right here, this is our phosphate group. And what you'll notice, right, if you look at these bonds right here and right here, is that both of these groups are both attached to our sugar. Okay, so the sugar is what is holding this entire nucleic acid together. All right? So, again, remember these nucleic acids, right, as we've talked about, they're macromolecules, so naturally they have monomers and polymers. The monomers are called nucleotides. And you guys definitely know what this is. I'm going to be referring to these as NTs a lot, so definitely know that abbreviation, okay? The polymers of a nucleic acid, you guys are going to love this. It's a nucleic acid. Does it get much easier than that? I don't think so, guys. Okay, so nucleic acids are the polymers made up of the monomers called nucleotides. Okay, nucleotides are the A's, C's, T's, and G's that make up DNA. That is the adenines, the cytosines, the thymines, and the guanines. Okay, and you guys have probably done this in middle school at some point where you say that, oh, the A's, right, these adenines bind with thymine, right, which is our T's, and our guanines, right here, these bind with cytosine. These are our C's, okay? And again, I put a really handy picture right next to it, and this shows exactly what I just said. So you look right here, you can see that it's a little upside down on the right side here, but you can see that an A is binding with a T. And if you go down a little lower, you can see that we have a C binding with a G, okay? And that's exactly what goes on, is that these monomers come together and they make the polymers that we know as nucleic acids. I really want to preface that this is really an introductory lecture that we're going to be going back to in a few weeks when we start talking about DNA, but I thought it was really important to introduce now as our last macromolecule. So right here, you guys have your vocab section. You know what to do here. Define these, fill this out. This is basically your glossary for the lecture. This is a really nice, short, and sweet one, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And once you finish this up, go on to the group and partner work that you have to do next. All right, thanks for listening, and I hope you guys get everything out of this.